We start with that story that's dominated the UK political agenda for the last few days. Rishi Sunak says it's utterly wrong to blame him for failing to tackle the issue of unsafe concrete in school buildings.
Unsafe concrete. Unsafe concrete. Do you know why? There's a phrase. I think it's a legal phrase. When something is called, I've got concrete evidence that you're guilty, or that we've got some concrete evidence here. And do you know why the phrase is concrete evidence? Because concrete is known to be reliable, sturdy. That's the reason why they use the phrase concrete evidence. They don't say we got some paper mache evidence over here. They deliberately use the word concrete because concrete is the most stable, the most safe, the most relied upon material that they could come up with. It's like I've got a cast iron excuse. The reason why that phrase exists is because cast iron can be relied upon. I got a concrete evidence over here. The whole idea that concrete might be unsafe is ridiculous. It's like going on the news and be like, ladies and gentlemen, the Prime Minister has responded to accusations that he has failed to act responsibly in the unwet water debate that is sweeping the nation. Unwet water is believed to be in schools throughout the nation. The schools have been closed. Unsafe concrete. Do you ever wonder why this country and the world just bounces around from crisis to crisis to crisis? It's because they're making them up. They're making them up. Oh, the schools are built with unsafe concrete, so you can't put your children in there. Oh, and now the hospitals might be built with unsafe concrete, and now the airports in this country, they might be built with unsafe concrete. Let me take a wild stab in the dark here. Let me take a guess. I bet you that the vaccination centres aren't built with unsafe concrete. I am willing to make you a large wager that the government aren't going to turn around and go, you know what? All these vaccinations we were planning to force you to take? Well, it looks like the vaccination centre's got unsafe concrete. You can't go in there. I bet you the tax office doesn't have unsafe concrete in there. Come on. And people are actually falling for this. Have you noticed how it's always something you would have absolutely no idea if they're making it up? It's like, the concrete inside the walls is unsafe. And loads of people are like, well, of course it is. Of course it is. Oh, I believe everything it says on the news. It's like, do you have any way of verifying at all that the concrete in the buildings is unsafe? No. Is like 1 in 5 schools toppling over? No. And if that did start to happen, I'd think that these people were blowing them up or something, by the way. I wouldn't even believe that. But just the idea that they've built them with unsafe concrete and they've only just now figured it out. Literally, this news broke literally like the week kids were due to go back at school. They didn't have any idea about this for like 40 years, right up until kids were due to go back to school this week. And then we're like, wait a second. It looks like these walls have been built with disposable concrete. Shut up. Like collapsible concrete. And I've got normie people telling me, it's just like an aero. They always give you some stupid, the news, they always put out some kind of stupid, they explain it to people like, how you have an Aero chocolate bar? And people are like, oh yeah, I know Aero chocolate bars. They're like, well, the concrete they use is just like an Aero chocolate bar. And everyone goes, of course, I know about Aero chocolate bars. I've had an Aero chocolate bar before. This must be true. They've used unsafe concrete. Why wouldn't they? Why wouldn't they use unsafe concrete? You think that was actually manufactured? Do you think there's a company out there that made a fortune because they went to construction companies to say, hey, I think we could save you some money here. Really? What have you got? We've got unsafe concrete. Do you want to buy some? Yeah, let's make all the schools out of it. You've got concrete that's not as safe and reliable as concrete? Let's do the hospitals. Let's do the schools. Let's do the orphanage. Is there anywhere where they store sort of explosives Maybe we could build those buildings out of unsafe concrete. Do you know what I mean? Is there anything these people will question? Unsafe concrete. Unsafe concrete. Honestly, I really do think that they are now just sitting there and they're like, let's see what they'll believe. Let's see if we can. They can say anything like. And you speak to regular people, and they're like, "Well, of course, I don't think this is made up. Of course, I don't think there's anything nefarious going on here." And it's like, yeah, but do you think there's anything nefarious going on anywhere? No. It's like, if the news tells you the concrete is unsafe, do you just believe them? Yeah. It's like, so if they were lying to you, you'd have absolutely no idea. That's correct, right? Well, then why wouldn't someone be lying to you? If you just believe the establishment on everything they tell you, you never check anything for yourself, you never have any questions, then is it any surprise that you're being lied to all the time? I mean, by your own admission, you don't think that anything untoward is going on ever in the world. It's a very naive, sort of everyone is just this sort of Easter Bunny character, and everyone who works in the government is just this big sort of Mother Teresa, or worse, they're like, oh, it's just incompetence. It's just, they just accidentally built all the school buildings out of disposable concrete. Look, it gets even worse. Let me play more on the news clip.
As thousands of children return to the classrooms today after the summer break, it's emerged that more than 100 schools in England and Scotland will be closed or partially shut. It's over safety concerns about what is known as wrack, the type of concrete that's known to be at risk of crumbling.
Let me ask you a question. You ever heard of this type of concrete before in your life, ever? You ever heard of crumbling concrete before, ever? You ever go to B&Q and like, hey, I'm looking for some concrete. And they say, oh, do you want crumbling concrete or normal? You know what I mean? You ever heard of crumbling concrete before in your entire life? Does it sound like something that would be mass-produced? Does it sound like something that would come in handy? You know what I mean? Have you ever been to like a kitchen supply shop and said, hey, I want to buy a saucepan? And they go, oh, right, okay. Do you want one with a giant hole in the bottom? Do you want one that's solid? Just, I need to know. Hello, is this the gun shop? Yes. I'd like to buy a revolver, please. Oh, okay. Do you want one that when you shoot it, it shoots yourself in the face? Or do you want one that's just a regular gun? Because we stock both kinds.
Meanwhile, in the last hour, another twist with the Education Secretary caught on camera voicing her frustrations about the media coverage. This is Gillian Keegan after an interview with ITV News.
Have you noticed the language that they use on the mainstream media? Meanwhile, another twist in this story. Why do you think they call them stories? Welcome to the news. Our top story tonight. If you tell your child, I'm going to tell you a story. What are the sort of connotations of that? Another twist. And then I'm about to show you the most just ridiculously, obviously staged thing you've ever seen in your life. The news is like just a ridiculous soap opera designed to destroy people's fabric of reality now. Watch.
Does anyone ever say, you know what, you've done a good job because everyone else has sat on their and done nothing? No signs of that, no?
Well, that footage was captured by ITV News as the camera repositioned for extra shots at the end of an interview with the Secretary of State.
No, it wasn't, mate. No, it wasn't. That was part of what you were there to do. Like, that wasn't accidentally. And their new one is now, it was picked up on a hot mic. Oh, and you just happened to just put it out on the news anyway. You honestly expect me to believe that this isn't completely staged? And have you noticed that they want to break down the whole fabric of society? They want like politicians and members of parliament and people that you're supposed to look up to and respect be like, is there a anywhere? You know what I mean? They want them just using all these disgusting swear words. And so they put it out, but they just bleep it. But they're obviously showing you that these people just F and blind as soon as the camera's off. It's just designed to make it more sensational. It's just a big episode of EastEnders at this point. A bad episode. Crumbling concrete. Crumbling concrete. That's what you're selling me. Crumbling concrete. Crumbling concrete. Oh, well. Listen, guys, I hope you enjoyed the video. Stop watching the news. Start watching me. See you soon.